I am out of my Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. Thank you for joining us on this live stream. It's now come to its end. And we'll see you next time on Death by Bunjie.
All hail Bunjie.
There you go, yeah. Well, here's me and here's Genevieve. We are set up in the backyard. Hopefully you guys can hear us good. I think this one will go pretty smooth. Genevieve, I'm going to show you what we're doing. The Dunkin' Donuts thing.
Oh, hold on.
We know it's working at least,
Yeah.
right? I did have this morning. I've already been shopping. Excuse me. I've already been grocery shopping. I have already been setting this up. We had this all set up in the garage to do this morning, didn't we? Had it all set up in the garage, and then we switched it to the outdoors. This isn't going to work. Not going to work. We have messed this up. This chronograph, I'm going to show you what we're doing. The point of today's video, and we're going to make it work. It's going to work. Don't you worry. It is going to work. But Genevieve is going to get up and take the top of the roof off there and try and tuck that in here and get it pulled back so
that corner?
The chronograph can see the sky. Yeah, and don't step on crossbows. The two of us are sitting. We're trying to take advantage of, and I'm going to unhook you guys just so you can see what we're dealing with here. But I do have this tarp. Oh, that doesn't help, does it? I do have this tarp set up, right? We have this little thing that we use, and there's Genevieve. She is going to move this over a little bit. The sky has to be completely unobscured for our little... Let's turn this around this way, Rich. What are you doing? Man, I am out of practice when it comes to live streams. Boom, right there. I push a little button, and kaboom, look what we've got. So that's what I'm going to be... That's going to be my view for the morning. We're going to be shooting through this at the Bulldog target. But the problem is that with that tarp on there, we were getting... Tuck that in there, will you? Good. With the tarp on there, the chronograph doesn't have an unobscured view of the sky. And the problem is that the chronograph itself can be in the shade, okay, but it has to have, through those little sensors on the very top of it, those little sensors right there, they have to have an unobstructed view of the sky that will work. But this thing cannot be sitting in the sun. We have had problem after problem after problem with this, and we had it set up in the basement where it just basically didn't work. We've had it set up in the garage, didn't we? We had it set up in the garage. And I thought this morning, man, that garage, it works in there okay, but it's just the ugliest spot for a video. Plus out here, you can hear the birds chirping. This is going to be a fun way to get a whole bunch of numbers. And numbers are what we're doing. Now, Genevieve has a laptop right here. Little laptop, see that? She's got the old laptop. So she will be looking at the comments. I see the comments popping up. That's awesome because I can at least tell what's going on. But I'm going to try and focus on the task at hand. The task at hand. What is the task at hand? The task at hand is shooting crossbows today. We have 3 crossbows. We have, well, I'm not even going to tell you which ones they are. You already know. You already know if you follow Death by Bunjie. If you are a friend of Bunjie, you know the 3 crossbows we're going to shoot. But I will tell you, give you a little heads up, because we're going to start with, oh, this big boy, who doesn't even fit on the screen probably. Hope I don't hit Genevieve with it. This is the original Bunjie. Ooh, even has proof that it shoots a whopping 2010 speed of 305 feet per second. And we're going to see if that's true today. We're going to see if that's true. I love this crossbow. I've gone back one scope on this because I've taken the scope off of this and put it on the newest Bunjie, the newest iteration of Bunjie. So that scope is no longer on this crossbow. I still love this crossbow even without that scope, but I really love the scope. That's really what I like. But it shoots just fine for our purposes today. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to do some speed tests, and when done, we are going to document each one of them on a big old chart we've got right here that Genevieve is working on. We're going to document all that stuff, put it on there, and that way I'll have some accurate numbers. I'll have numbers, hopefully, that we can use going forward, calculating momentum, calculating kinetic energy, all that fun stuff. Doesn't that sound like a good plan?
It does.
That's a good plan. Now, before we shoot each crossbow today, each of the 3 crossbows, we are going to lube up those crossbows. We're going to lube the rails. And I have a little bag here. You got to be watching those comments. If there's any naughty stuff going on in those comments, I need to know about it.
Okay.
And if there's any good stuff, you need to tell me about that too. So, string wax, not worried about that. But this is the original kit. I bought this little thing of string wax, right? Excalibur serving wax for all your crossbows. That's what it says, right? It says right on there. So it's not for all crossbows, but it is for this one. And I've used it very religiously over the years. And that's why after 11 seasons in the woods with this crossbow. I promise you I could use this for 11 more without question. I could go out for I could hunt the rest of my life with this crossbow with minimal maintenance. It is such a workhorse of a crossbow. That is what I would call it, a workhorse of a crossbow. But here's the neat thing. People skimp on stuff like rail lube, and I'm obscuring Genevieve so you can't see her. She don't care. This is scorpion venom rail lube, right? This old package. This is the original tube. The original tube that I bought back in 2010 to go with this crossbow. Can you believe that? How cool is that? I think that's pretty cool. The original tube. I didn't even buy new ones. And frankly, we bought new ones for Genevieve for her crossbow.
Not the same.
It's not the same. It doesn't, like, this comes out of here so good that the whole thing is sticky. It's like, not sticky, it's slippery, right? The whole tube, it just feels like it's leaking, right? Because it comes out of here so good. I bought 2 different packages or 3 different packages for her, and man, no, not the same. It was like you got to fight with it to get any of it to come out. They're getting so stingy with the scorpion venom. It's not. It's just that people probably complained about the leaking of it. But it's been leaking for 10 years. You can see how slippery it is. Shoots right out of my hand here. But
slippery little morsel.
It's a slippery little morsel. That's what it is. So we are going to go through on this, though. The cool thing about that is it'll do that for the rail lube, and it should give us the fastest ones that we can get, right? The fastest readings that we can get when we shoot through the chronograph here. So when we do that, we should get the most accurate, like closest to factory advertised speeds that we can get. Not all about speed, but this is Speed Week on Crossbow Appreciation Month. This is Crossbow Appreciation Month. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
What is it?
It is for the entire month of August. We do a video every single day.
Every single day. Yep. 31 videos in 31 days to celebrate crossbows, because that's what Death by Bunjie is. It is the celebration of crossbows. It's hunting with crossbows. It's killing animals with crossbows and doing it the most efficient, effective, legal way possible. So that's what we're doing. And I am going to start and kick off Speed Week of Crossbow Appreciation Month. You didn't even know there was a Speed Week, did you? Well, there is now. And only because speed is a discussion that is a good discussion for crossbow hunters to have. It is not the only discussion we should be having, but it certainly is relevant. Wow, is it relevant? And we will see today, I suspect, when we write those numbers down. Oh, I can't shoot this. You didn't weigh it. I don't know how much this weighs.
Lucky for you, I have a scale.
These live streams, they jump
there.
all over the place. Yeah, we'll get there. So she's going to open up her little scale there. I am going to show you this time here, if I can do this without wrecking everything here. These working on the phone. That's a Hornady scale. It's really for weighing grains of the gunpowder that he put in bullets and all that fun stuff. But she's going to turn it on. Put your thing on here. She's going to put that on here. And then we're going to let that zero out to 0. And then we're going to take the ProFlight. This is basically a stock arrow. This is an upgraded arrow, the Black Eagle, right? Black Eagle. 0.001 straightness. 100 grain field tip, 100 grainer on here. And this is what I hunted with, essentially this weight. Okay, an upgraded arrow. But this is the same weight that I have used hundreds of times. And Genevieve will tell us what that overall arrow rig weighs.
362.
360. Holy cow. And that's with the Luminac on the tail end. Holy cow. Are you serious?
We are not heavy arrow people.
Holy cow. Already, and I'm not joking here, already I have learned something. I've been doing all my math saying that this is a 385 or so grain arrow. Man, was I off. 20 grains I was off. And that's not the end of the world, but that is a shocker to me. What was it, 362?
Yeah.
Right down the correct arrow, right down the correct weight. But you will see these in the upcoming week. I am doing videos, already shot portions of those videos, but we're doing videos talking about speed-related topics all this week on Crossbow Appreciation Month here on Death by Bunjie. And so Genevieve will be recording this data for me, and she wrote down 362 up there. So we have with a 100 grain, it weighs 362. And then we're going to shoot it, we're going to record it, and we're going to shoot different arrows out of different crossbows. Here we go. Genevieve, you want to look at those comments while I step aside and do a little cockifying of this older, slower crossbow? See if I can remember how to do it. Is there a comment or two on there you might want to?
Let me see.
That rope right there.
Someone says that all the bullets I have are 400 grains, and I thought that was standard.
400.
I thought close to 400 was standard.
Close. I think it's gotten a little lighter over the years, as certain manufacturers like to try and skimp a little bit to try and get their crossbows shoot a little faster. I don't doubt that. 400 grains. To me, when I think about stuff, the 400 grains is a pretty good standard. I would call that standard. Maybe it isn't. That's not the right word, but I would call that kind of standard. 400 grains really is a pretty good crossbow weight. You know, if you're at 400 grains, you're right in the wheelhouse of what most crossbows probably should be in terms of the stock equipment that comes with them. But I say start with that, and if you don't like it, then and you have a good reason that you can express to upgrade to a heavier arrow or whatever, go ahead and play with those ideas. 400 grains. I thought it was a lot closer to 400 grains. 362. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Wow. Wow. Well, that doesn't surprise me because Genevieve's were like, her ProFlights are 16.5 inch. We'll get to those.
Yeah.
That means that the 20-inch ProFlight really don't weigh that much more than the 16.5-inch ProFlight. That's what that means. Let's turn this bad boy around, see if we're going to be able to use this chronograph in this position. Hopefully, we're not going to have to move everything again. We have been moving stuff all morning, trying to chase the sunlight here, the shade, to stay in the shade. Genevieve's got her finger up. She's trying to tell me something.
Thanks for the super chat lever action.
We got a super chat, you said?
Yeah, from lever action.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate the super chats. It helps me replenish that Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee on the way to our next event, which is, what are we doing after this?
Putting in food plots.
Putting in food plots. Same thing we do every weekend.
He also says that 550 to 770 grains is the sweet spot.
That's the sweet spot. There are a lot of advantages to it. I know that. I'm not disagreeing with that necessarily. You slow down, though, an awful lot when you start going to that. I suspect. I shouldn't give away the ending of the live stream, but we're going to see what that does, what those kinds of numbers, getting close to those kinds of numbers, but what those numbers do. In fact, we're going to see that pretty quick. I think we're going to see that in the next shot. If this thing works, I don't know. We're going to find out, right? Let's see what a whopping 362 grains does. Let's see what that does first, right? And we're going to set you guys up right there. So here's where we go. We're going to take a shot. I'm not even aiming. I'm just lining it up. Oop, I'm going to try and do it in a way that you can still see what's going on.
Don't hit the phone.
And don't hit the phone. Don't hit the chronograph. Line it up. Shoot it. 307.
Woo, that's a high speed.
Man. It is, in fact, Genevieve's going to write that down on our chart. 307 is, in fact, a record for the Bunjie. 307. Right up a little higher than that. I'll go up a little higher because you're going to do some other math here. So put, 307. And put an exclamation point after that because that's pretty cool.
New record.
Now, we're only partially joking here, okay? When I say that is and I just saw a little comment there. Hello to Germany. Well, we got people from from other countries joining us. I think that's awesome.
Other side of the planet. Wow.
Other side, kind of the other side of the planet. Yeah, clear across the Atlantic Ocean. 307. That is by far. Now I just lubed this up. That makes a difference. And we're shooting again 362 grains. But that is the highest speed that I've ever gotten out of the original Bunjie. And remember, the original Bunjie, like it says right on there, 305 feet per second. That is the advertised speed. So I will say this, okay? That's the original weight arrow. When I hunted with a cheaper brand of arrows for a long time. But you want to pull that real quick? You go grab that. Stay away from the chronograph because that's apparently working. We're not going to adjust it. She's going to pull an arrow for me out of the bulldog target.
It shoots faster than the scorpion, apparently. Remember that?
Oh, we had problems with this chronograph yesterday. It was telling me the scorpion was shooting 130 feet per second or something. I mean, come on. So I haven't actually run. We haven't done all these tests and haven't gone through all of this. But this is the arrow weight that I hunted with over the years. Hundreds of hunting outings. Shot dozens and dozens of deer with this weight of arrow. Nothing wrong with that. But 307, this tells you that that's what Excalibur is using to get the speed back in 2010. Was an arrow, 100 grain broadhead arrow around 362 grains, 365, something like that. Probably a 365 grainer is what did the job. Did the job. Now we're going to mix things up again a little bit, Genevieve. Can you help me lift this arrow? It's very heavy. Can you help me get it up here? Oh, this arrow is so heavy. It weighs like 1.5 ounces, as opposed to the other arrow that doesn't weigh 1 ounce, right? So that's really all the difference. This is from friend of Bunjie Marshall. I want to thank you for this arrow. Look at the, I can't even figure it out here, but look at the front of center on that arrow, right? I can balance it like that, but you can see that's a heavy arrow. 150 grain field point on the end of a spinal tap, and I think this is 550 or better. Haven't shot these really since the last year. You don't have to turn, don't touch that. We're just going to shoot through it. The chronograph should reset itself, should allow us to shoot through it again, and then just reset and give us a new number. So Genevieve's going to weigh this out. That's the next step. Do not forget that step. Very important.
Oh, I know.
Yep, you can just leave that thing out. So she's going to weigh it, and we're going to see what this bad boy weighs. Spinal tap. Ooh, look at that. Killed a hog with this last year at the second ever Death by Bunjie meet and greet. And Speed Week is very important to this year's meet and greet because we're doing, this is just research, right? Really, it's just fun. It's really just fun. We kind of know what each of these things do, kind of know what we're trying to accomplish here and what will happen when we do different things. But
577.
577. Now that's a big difference. Actually, that one kind of surprises me the other direction. It's a little bit heavier than what I thought. 577. I don't know if this old crossbow is going to be able to do that or not. So Genevieve's going to write that down under the spinal tap. She's going to put on there 577, and hopefully it doesn't disintegrate my crossbow or break the string or something. I'm just kidding. I suppose there is a point at which, I don't want to put this in here. Here's one thing about this arrow I noticed today. When I put it in the pocket, it actually penetrated the lining of this little cooler here. So that's great. So that is a testament to heavier arrows and sharp field points. This thing, it just, all I did was try to put it in there and it cut right into it. So what are you gonna do? So we were at 307. Now we're taking the original Bunjie. I'm gonna turn this around a little bit. Well, no, I'm not gonna do that. Genevieve will look at another comment, and I'm gonna step up there and I am going to cock this guy again. I'm so glad that's working, that the chronograph is working, and man, that's nice. That makes life a lot easier. I was so worried about that. There's so much that can go wrong on these live streams. But
Frank Burner says, I love Bunjie, but 307's like going 40 miles an hour in the fast lane these days.
It is in fact a very slow crossbow.
Yeah.
That's why we refer to it as the older, slower crossbow in the family. But nonetheless, we're going to see what it does out of a spinal tap. We're going to do some numbers on this too. Now these got a little black vein here, a cock feather of sorts. I'm going to put that down there. Let's lube this up. You know, it really is not a bad idea to lube it each time. If I can get that slippery little morsel out of there. That way it's the fairest way, okay? I got the safe on. I'm not going to lube it up. That would be crazy. Yeah. I've already cocked it, so.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? It's got a nice sheen to it, okay? You know, you don't want to glob it on. I love that one.
Bunjie's the pace car for Scorpion.
Bunjie is the pace car. That's a good one too. Yeah. I like that. I like that. All right, let's turn this bad boy around. We'll get that going on there so you can watch the shot. Oh, how exciting that shot will be. It's a 5-foot shot, so I
don't blink.
Don't blink. Yeah, don't blink. If you blink, you're not going to miss much. You'll get another opportunity. 256. 256. So our pace car just got remarkably slower. I'm hoping that is showing and it's not underexposed or whatever. But 256, Genevieve is writing that down on our see if we can switch around. Oh, there it is. It worked. So Genevieve wrote down 256. So we have that on here. And here's what I'm thinking. When we look at 307 down to 256, we've dropped 51 feet per second by going from a 362 grain arrow to a 577 grain arrow. 256 is like compound bow numbers. It is not crossbow numbers. It's 2010 crossbow numbers, but it's really not even 2010 crossbow. You can go pull that. It really is not. Actually, I'll pull it because Genevieve's going to be doing the next shot here. So you can start getting ready on yours. I'll chat a little bit. I'll talk a little bit, and we will let Genevieve get her cocking going here on her device. Yeah, you can use my lube. She's going to use it all
your
up,
lube.
probably.
It works.
That is one of the nice things about having two crossbows of the same brand, the same family, the same model, same manufacturer at least. That's pretty nice because now we can share lubes and stuff like that. But we've gone down in speed 50 feet per second or better when we are moving up in arrow weight. That shows you the difference. Now, faster crossbows, they have more room to give, right? More speed to give, so you can actually slow them down. The big difference on that drop, everything is trade-offs. I want to be clear about that. When people say you should use a heavy arrow because that's where all the advantages lie. Okay, there's a lot of advantages there. But you lose some of the advantages that are kind of built into a crossbow, which is the faster speed, right? We're able to achieve these higher speeds with crossbows, and there are benefits to speed, whether it's trajectory, getting there before the deer ducks, that sort of thing. All these are topics we'll be talking about during Speed Week here on Crossbow Appreciation Month. Really everything in life probably is trade-offs. It's all trade-offs. You go to the heavier arrow, no question is that arrow going to do a better job of going through a deer's shoulder, right? But it's got to get there before that deer's gone, right? And that's what we're dealing with. So we're going to go through all the rest of these numbers, and I don't want to give away all of Speed Week, but with Genevieve's crossbow, it takes her so long to cock the thing. These modern crossbows that have cranks.
I'll get there.
It takes her 30 minutes. So fortunately, she's only shooting one. You're only shooting one?
Yep.
I think you're shooting one. So we don't have to sit and wait for her to cock it all the time.
Unless you want to try and cock it.
No. Yeah, if you want to see something takes a while, have me cock that crossbow. That I do more damage to it than I do good.
My back is crying thinking about it.
No, but I mean with the crank. I remember I almost once. We were hunting in the late season. We're both really cold. She was freezing to death, and we had to get out of there. And I don't want her to be uncomfortable while we're hunting. So I was trying to decock that, and I almost tore the anti-dry fire right off the back end of that thing. I got the hooks caught on, and I'm still cranking. It was awful. I really have no business touching that crank or whatever else, for the time being. So we are set up. I will pull that. You get an arrow. You're going to come around this way. I'll work the camera. Let's go set. Can you set yours down? Get that in the shade somewhere. I'll pull the arrow for you. Let's get up there. We'll do that. I'll show you while we're doing this. I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to show you this little bulldog target. I like this bulldog target. We're at 256 there. But this bulldog target, they give you all kinds of tips about different things to pull arrows out of. But look at that. That came out of there, no problem whatsoever. I want to thank the friend of Bunjie who sent that to me. You know who you are, and I do appreciate all of your support over the years, various things, whether it's this sort of present or anything else. I really do appreciate it. But that bulldog target, if you're curious about the gear we're using, most of that's available on deathbybunjie.com. You can go through and see write-ups on them. I've gotten a lot of questions on targets, faster crossbows, or even heavier arrows. What kind of target do you get to stop those arrows? That bulldog target does the job. It is really, the more we've used it, the easier it is to pull arrows out of it. I don't know why that is. It stops them just fine, right? But now that we have faster crossbows in this family, we had to get rid of all our old targets, didn't we? Remember that?
Yeah, they were going right through them.
Yeah, I had those old foam targets from Cabela's, did videos on those years ago. I sold them in a yard sale we have, don't even have those anymore. The only targets we have are the blocks. I really like those for the broadheads or field points, and for chronograph stuff, you cannot beat this bulldog. Man, it just stops everything. It's rated, I think, to 400 feet per second or 450, but it's not, you're not getting a crossbow to go through that. So, but it's field points only. When you do the broadhead testing, you gotta have a block, something like that. See if we can tuck that in there a little bit. So flop around. Genevieve's gonna take my seat, and I'm gonna work the camera.
I measured it, by the way.
Oh,
she
weighed I forgot all about that. That's
the wind is moving it.
Oh, well, yeah. Wind's always a problem, no matter what you do. All right, let's get these arrows out of the way, the ones we've used, so we're not confused by those. Can't put them in the chair because it's punctured right through there. So Genevieve is going to weigh her little quill. Actually, it's not a quill. It is a ProFlight, 16.5 inches, right?
Yep. 413.
413.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. 413.
You know what the difference is?
The 150 grain.
The 150 grainer. She got a 150 grain on here. So that's her hunting rig, really. This is a field point, of course, but she uses 150 grain Rage tripans, the tripans. Those are, she's going to write that down before she forgets, 415.
Okay.
Or whatever it was.
It was 14, but...
Well, write down 414. Don't write down 415.
You said 15.
I don't, you're the one doing the numbers. Do not leave the numbers up to me, and don't ask me to cock your crossbow. I want accurate numbers. The whole point of this is accurate numbers. We're not guessing. So 414. All right. Actually, I was thinking 415 for hers because we weighed them before. But if I'd have done the math, that tells me the 20-inch ProFlight really doesn't weigh any different from the... Weigh that 20-inch ProFlight again. Weigh it, as long as you got that out there.
Okay.
Weigh that again. This is the same ProFlight. We're not mixing stuff up here. We'll get that over here for you because you're going to use that. They're not that front and center heavy. She's like setting it up for the field point. It's got to be moved over. It's got to be moved over.
361.5.
Oh, now it's only 361.5. It's gone down by half a grain.
Lighter.
Stop weighing it. It's only going to reach 0 at some point. At some point, we're going to be shooting. At some point, we'll be in dry fire territory with a 0, huh? So we'll get rid of that, okay? So Genevieve's got the 450 grainer, the 415 grain arrow, 414 grain arrow, and she's going to shoot Bunjie Jr. And so we'll see what she's got here. I'm going to turn this around. Oh. I'll even hold it. We should be able to do that. I'm going to get right behind you. She's a little nervous about shooting through here.
I've only shot through here a couple times.
She is going to do fine. I don't know why she worries about this. Shoot, just make sure you're sort of lined up over the device. We're laying right up over behind you. How's that?
How do I look?
You look good. If you look like you're shooting, just look down the arrow. When you're ready. 345.
Here we go.
345. Now that, nothing wrong with that at all, kiddo. All right. Good. 345. There is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I'm pretty happy with that.
Now they start getting fun to pull out.
Yeah, this is when they start getting a little bit more fun to pull out. We'll turn this around so Genevieve can pull that out. We'll see how she makes out. Pulling it out straight out. Well, that was uneventful. That actually worked pretty good. So that worked pretty good. So again, the Death by Bunjie gear page, you want to go check that out. You will see those dudes on there, the different pieces of equipment that we use. So that was 345. We got to write that down. And she's putting it under, get it up there. She is putting it under Bunjie Jr. 345. Pretty sweet. Wind is going to start bothering us now. It's probably going to pull the whole roof off of this thing. We'll be sitting out in the sun again. But that's the price you pay for a live stream. That's what we get. So we have another another crossbow to test here. How to do that? I can get the cocking rope. Again, this is actually the original cocking rope from Bunjie too, by the way. It's the original one. Somewhere here there's a cocking rope for the third crossbow we're going to be shooting. And I want to make sure, yeah, I have two arrows. Oh, there it is. Thank you very much. This is a cocking sled for the new Bunjie 3.0, Bunjie III, Bunjie 21. The cocking sled, I'm not a big fan of that, but I'm gotten a lot better at it. Just like anything else. You didn't see me cock Bunjie, but I'm telling you I can do that in my sleep. This is a whole different process. Bring that crossbow over. We got to lube it up first. We lube before we cock the crossbow, just for future reference. That's probably a good idea. So that's what we're going to do.
Mark Borchert asked how many we got coming to the meet and greet this year.
Oh, the meet and greet. That's a good question. We do have a full capacity for the Tioga Boar Preserve for the meet and greet this year. There are 20 to 22 people, 20 to 22 hunters, I think, joining us this year. So that thing, I actually didn't advertise that an awful lot to you guys, and I apologize for that. It was basically extended as an opportunity to people who are on the Death by Bunjie email newsletter. If you get on there, you can check that out. We do have a big group this year. Here's the neat thing about it, though. You will have an opportunity to hear more about what happened this year than last year. Last year with COVID, people are a little uncomfortable getting real on top of each other, talking and everything else. Hopefully that's different this year. I don't know. This stuff's totally changing, but But it makes a big difference, I think. And this year, when we're all there, I think it'll be a little bit different. Where's my pile of lube? Somewhere there's a container.
Yep. Right here.
She got a little bag of that stuff. So that one will be a lot of fun. I really do look forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. This is a different crossbow. You got to have instructions in order to know how to lube this. Believe it or not, and this is weird for me coming from the Excalibur world, but the Skirpid Deathstalker, the 420, this crossbow, I really am impressed with this crossbow. I do love it. I've already killed something with it, believe it or not. You probably already know about that, but that's going to be a video this week on Speed Week here on Crossbow Appreciation Month. We're going to put that video up. Aren't you excited about that?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun video, fun little story. But this crossbow, you don't actually lube the rail on this. Can you believe that? It does have a rail. A rail looks very similar to the rail on Bunjie, right? But Bunjie 3.0 comes with all these instructions in 3 different bottles to know what you need to lube. So the stick wax is easy to apply, run up and down the string, working it in with your fingers or a suitable cloth, lubricates and penetrates to the string's bundled core, coating all fibers with minimal exertion, reduces string friction. It's going to blow away and you're not going to have it if you're not careful. So we better just keep an eye on it, do the best you can.
I'm going to go get some clamps.
All right, run in there and get them. That's fine. She's going to get some clamps, clamp down the paper because it's blowing all over the place. That's a good idea, actually. They're right in the garage.
Yep.
Just one will do it. 1 or 2. All right, she'll do that real quick while I'm reading these instructions to refresh my memory and let you know what we're doing with this thing. But cam and serving lube, apply a few drops only to the serving that contacts the cam and or idler wheel. Also use on moving parts of the bow and where the string makes contact with the bow. That's your serving, right? So that is the cam and serving lube. And that is a little drop, it looks like eye drops. That's what it does. So that one we'll probably use there. And then we have polymeric bowstring fluid. Easy to use applicator, 2 ounce length of the bowstring does not contact the bow. So that does not increase our speed or anything like that. That's really for the long life of the string. The wear on this thing has been minimal. I am pretty impressed with the string. I've shot at this a lot more than I did my original Bunjie, that's for sure. I didn't shoot that original Bunjie nearly as often as I have shot this thing over time. But I don't know why you don't use the rail lube on this. That seems odd to me, but it is just what we do. And I do have actually plans to make a video on this topic, so you can expect to see that down the road here too. So we're going to work that into that string real nice, and see what we got there. Ooh, I probably put too much on there. But the other thing too, the knocks on this bad boy are not the sort of knocks that you might be familiar with if you are an Excalibur dude. You might be more familiar with them, frankly, if you are a compound bow hunter. Really, they're more like that. I'm not familiar with compound bow stuff, but that's the knock on it right there. So we'll put that up there. Well, whatever. You get the idea. It's a Q knock. It is a capture knock. It snaps on there and it actually holds onto.
Make sure you line it up.
Yeah, you got to line it up. It does make a difference. Ooh, it's not lined up. I've got to turn it. Not a problem. So it does make a difference which cock feather, hen feather that you have. So we got the cock feather sticking down. We line it up visually like that and it will snap in place. I do kind of like it. The knocks kind of snap onto the string. So there you go. So this is lubed up and ready to go. I'm going to set the arrow there. I'll show you how I cock this thing with the sled cocker. You guys some of you guys will like that stuff. Why don't, you read some comments or something. We'll do that. Are you going to read a comment or something?
I am. I'm in there. Hold on. Just out of curiosity, how many pastors have you gotten with the tripans? Oh, that's me. Dad uses the Rage Hypodermics, and I use the tripans, and I've shot 2 deer with them so far, and they were both complete pastors. Not 500-pound wild boars, though.
The boar hunt from last year. Whole different ball game with that, wasn't it? But with the deer, no problem with that. She shot through a nice quartering away shot. It was actually a perfect shot on her buck last year. You can check that out. And then her doe, that was a complete passer. It was a smaller doe.
Yeah.
So the experience with those two. Broadheads and penetration, that's another topic we'll be talking about during Crossbow Appreciation Month. We have another live stream next week. Let's plug that. Actually, we haven't even set that one up yet, but we have the idea for it, the concept for it. And that will include shooting broadheads and testing penetration. It's a fun test. This isn't science for us. This is just having a good time and enjoying this stuff. But you're going to see, we're going to look at different broadheads. We actually have a few different ones we're going to try out next week. So, on different crossbows, like 3 different speed levels, right? We've got the older, slower Bunjie at 300 feet per second, or 307 maybe, if it shows up, if that same Bunjie shows up. But we also have 345 with the Bunjie Jr. Should talk about that briefly. Her 345 she's getting out of that Excalibur, it's a micro suppressor 355 that you shot, right?
Yep.
The 355 would be with a 100 grain broadhead. When we shot the quills in a 100 grain broadhead, basically we were getting 360
yep.
with that. So that was a little bit higher, actually higher speed than advertised. Now we have on that, she does not have all the rubber on it that came with it. We put on Dr. Stirrup string dampeners, not string dampeners, limb dampeners. Dr. Stirrup brand ones. Can you show them that? You get
It's
that
over there.
No. No, it's not.
Oh, it's up here.
Yeah. We should show you that real
I
quick.
didn't see it was hiding.
This is not loaded, but it is cocked. I was hiding. Yeah, that's funny. That is good.
Yeah.
So that's what it looks like. These are Dr. Stirrups, okay? And these are a different size. I'm going to try not to obscure Genevieve, but these are a different size than what comes on it. So people have commented about, don't you need a 1/4 inch or something like that or whatever it is? But these stick out this far. That's just how far they stick out. So they make contact with the string. They do a better job of silencing it, I believe, because they're basically making contact. Now, we've got them a credit card width off of there. That's how far off we have it. And it works perfectly. And it gets the brace height, the proper measurement. Really, I don't care about where these are so much as I care about the brace height. So when you look up the brace height, there's Excalibur. If you look around, you can find like printouts of what they want for brace height. This is the proper brace height. So that's set up pretty good. We did have these on here, and they have stayed on this crossbow because I glued them on.
Oh, yeah.
I glued them on with Goat Tough glue. They aren't going anywhere. They've been on the entire life of this crossbow that we've had it. Fantastic. And these little dudes are Dr. Stirrups. Do they really provide as much string, silencing, as quieting as the other rubber ones? Maybe, maybe not. Trade-offs. Again, trade-offs. You put a big, massive piece of rubber on here, like what came with it, probably does a better job of quieting it, but at the same time makes it a lot slower because there's more weight. It's the extra weight that quiets it down. So it also has the quiver on, or the stirrup on here is rubberized too, which is sweet. I love that. So pretty cool. Pretty good setup. But that's why she's getting a 345. If you take the micro suppressor and shoot a 150 grain broadhead out of it, an arrow that weighs 414 grains total weight, you will not reach 345 with that. Most likely you'll be a little bit lower. Here we have the Skirpit Deathstalker 420. Woohoo! Bunjie 3.0. That is the fastest crossbow of the Death by Bunjie family. Certainly not the fastest crossbow on the market. People ask me why I settled on this one. You know the story behind it. I will say that this is the crossbow I was really looking at, the 420, not the faster Scorpids, because I like a little bit of tried, true, and tested. I don't know if that makes a difference, but you know, I'll shoot a Ravin 500 a couple years from now when other people have shot it and we know all the bugs are worked out of it and we're comfortable with it.
And
that's
we know
just
it
me.
Exists.
And we know it exists. Yeah, spend your money on that now and maybe you'll get one. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm sure
It's
they're...
like the PlayStation 5s now.
Does anybody have those?
I don't know anybody that has one.
Yeah, they've been out for like a year and nobody has one.
No.
So go figure. I don't. It's the world we live in. It's the
Yeah,
world we
yeah.
live in. But this arrow, let's talk about that. Oh, we should weigh it. Let's weigh it.
I was just gonna say it.
We're gonna weigh it first, document that weight. So this is a Death Stalker arrow with a 100 grain broadhead, field point, 100 grainer. Let's get this out of here. We don't need that, but we will need, I'm gonna get her quill out of the way, her little 16.5 inch ProFlight. Get that dude out of the way, set that back here, but we're gonna keep that 150 grainer up there so we have it handy. What's our weight on that bad boy? Death Stalker arrow, 100 grain field point.
Hold on, the wind's blowing it. 370 is what it stays at the most.
Oh, it's jiggling?
Yeah, you can't.
370, okay.
Okay, yeah.
So 370, now that's really where I thought those ProFlights were. That's a pretty common, 400 grains if you weigh them. 400 grains I think is a much better weight to be shooting at deer anyway. But if the crossbow manufacturer is sending me a what was it?
70.
370?
Yes.
A 370, then so be it. Okay. Now, one thing I'm going to say, I do not anticipate 420 feet per second on this because I've added these little rubber dampeners right here, okay? Those little dudes, these little rubber thingies, those are going to reduce your speed. Again, we're talking about trade-offs. They were in the box. They came with a Crossbow. They are now on the Crossbow. I'm going to put them on here. So we're going to see what this dude does. Are you ready, Genevieve?
Yeah.
So we were at 345. That number is still up there. I'm going to reach up there and... Did you hear that snap into place? Isn't that cool? I love it. All right, we'll turn this dude around. Look at that nicely mowed yard. Before I shoot this thing, I want to take just a quick backyard appreciation month, crossbow range appreciation month. I push mow that entire yard. Can you believe that, Genevieve? She can believe it because she watches me do it. So, all right, we're going to line this dude up. Are you ready?
Don't let the camera. Careful.
Yeah, I'll get up higher. How's that?
There we go.
And boom. 403. 403. So that's the speed that we are getting with Bunjie 3.0 with the 100 grainer. Now that's actually slower than what I thought. I don't know that these rubber things really account for a 17-inch difference in speed, dropping 17 inches from, what were we talking? 17 inches from, or 17 feet per second, I'm sorry, from the 420. This is a Scorpion Deathstalker 420, shooting at 403. You know, it is what it is. But that's a 100 grain field point. Now, Genevieve will pull that real quick, and then we're going to switch that out with the 150 grainer. 370. That'll put us up to 420. So 420 is really a better hunting weight to me. That's my thinking. So I've been shooting the 150 grains. This is actually sighted in for the 150 grain broadheads. And again, sharing equipment, I was really thinking of using the same broadheads that Miss Genevieve uses, the Rage Trepan crossbow broadhead. Those are 150 grainers that we're using. So now I have installed the 150 grain. The 150 grain field point. Genevieve, is there any comments you want to go over?
Have we gotten the lighted nocks yet? We have, but we haven't put them on the arrows yet.
That's correct.
But we do have them.
Yeah, when we hit the woods, even for the meet and greet, we will have lighted nocks on everything that we shoot. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right.
And we have not had any issues personally with blades opening on the Rages before it gets to the target.
Yeah.
They're pretty accurate in our experience.
Yeah, I haven't had trouble with those. The Rages, one of the reasons I considered switching in the first place when I did, this is a few years back, switching to the Rage. I tested a bunch. Rages just turned out to be the most accurate in my tests with the old Bunjie. Not scientific. I just bought a few packs, shot them in the backyard, stuff I was interested in, and that's where we settled on. Been very happy with them. The performance of the Rage, the 2-inch cut, I love that stuff. The Tripans, a little bit heavier arrow, increases the front of center a little bit. The Tripans also are a heavier broadhead, which I think is real good. Heavier duty broadhead, which I think is a valuable thing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 150 grainer, same Deathstalker arrow. We have not switched arrows. We should now be
weighing it.
Let's weigh it. If the wind has died down, maybe we got a better weight. But understand that if there's a deviation here, it probably has more to do with the 50 grain broadhead, that extra 50 grains. These are 20-inch arrows, .001 straightness. I do like those arrows. They've shot great. Really, overall, .001 is the way to go. That's like a universal truth, I think.
All right, 425.
425. Now, you gonna write that down?
Yeah.
425. That tells me we're really closer to 375 or so with the 100, but whatever. It is.
It was the wind earlier.
It is the wind, but you got to write down to 403. You did write down to 403. Very good. We have that written down. So now we have documented all of our good stuff. I'm giving my nock a quick sight check here to make sure it looks good. I am going to feed that in there good. Get my fingers out of the way. Get them out to the end. You ready? Snap it in place. Before the wind takes over, we'll take a shot here. We're going to do a flipperoo here. Kaboom! And safety off, crossbow up, limbs out of the way, not hurting the camera. Boom, dead on it, 382. Now, That's the 150 grainer. That is a significant drop in speed, 382. Now, but I will say this, my speed, that's the weight that I've been shooting, even in the turkey woods I was carrying that. And I am down, I'm actually under 380 on my speed ring. Can you see that? So the truth in advertising, when we talk about that stuff, I don't know what arrows you're using to get to 420, but it doesn't appear as though we're able to do that with this. But that's not the end of the world. I mean, that's, you know, we're talking about speed week. It isn't as though the number really is what kills deer. It's the overall package. It's the arrow weight, the broadhead you're using, those things. The speed just gives me more information. The purpose of this is to get more information going forward so that when I do those calculations online, when we do the calculations here this morning briefly, we are going to have a whole different understanding of what we're really doing out there, okay, and not making guesses. We have a single additional arrow to shoot, and I want to introduce the arrow very briefly. Woohoo! This is a different dude. I have installed a capture knock, Q knock, for the Scorpion, for Bunjie III on this arrow. And those of you who were present last year for Crossbow Appreciation Month, those of you who followed my unsuccessful bear hunt in Maine last year, will remember the arrows of choice. Maine hunters. Doom arrows, right? My joke was, doom for whom? Isn't that funny? Yeah. All right, 150 grain broadhead on that. This is a heavy little dude, the heavier arrow. It's not the spinal tap heavy, and I would love to see what the spinal taps do out of the Scorpion. We will see eventually what the spinal taps do out of the Scorpion. I haven't set that up yet because those have a different knock, and I have to uninstall that knock. I will do that. We'll get that knock out of there. We'll put these knocks in it. Can't be shooting the flat knocks out of the... Cannot shoot the flat knocks out of the spinal taps. I see lever action saying woohoo. Isn't that great? I can't shoot the spinal taps, the flat knock out of the Scorpion yet, is what I meant. Lever action has said woohoo, and he's pretty excited about that, I'm sure. Yeah, those spinal taps really are, they're the .001s, perfect straightness, they're like match weight, the whole bit. Those are high-end arrows, and they're going to be around. I think having one of those arrows dressed up for a Scorpion is actually a good idea. It gives me more options on these kinds of videos. We were at 382. We're going to drop significantly from that 382 with this arrow, I'm betting. Genevieve's going to weigh it. Man, I keep forgetting that part. It's a good thing you're here. She's got her hand out like reaching for the arrow.
Okay.
Maine hunters.
485.
485. 485. Write that down before any of us forget. 485 and
150 grain?
Yeah, yep. 485. So that's what we're shooting. This will be our final shot, but it's not the end of the live stream. No, because we're going to switch this stuff around, and I am going to stand up and do some, she's going to do some math, and I'm going to fill out the rest of our chart. So we are shooting with the Maine hunter at 485 grains. That is that's like a moderately heavier arrow. When we're not in the 500s like the spinal taps were, that set up 577, I guess it was. Yeah. But we're in a more respectable class of arrow if you're a heavy arrow guy. If you're looking for bigger numbers on penetration, that Maine hunter, that's a good way to go. Those arrows I'm not suggesting you go out and buy Maine hunters. I'm not suggesting that at all. In fact, I don't know that you can buy those. Those were a gift from friend of Bunjie, Alex, who has a YouTube channel. I'll probably, I'll come back and put some comments on here. 1%. It's 1% luck. But he was a friend of Bunjie that came here. I've known him for years. Met him at the Great American Outdoors Show years ago. We got together, and he sent me these. He actually brought these with him from Russia. These are imported arrows, so you can't really buy these here, right? I can't even find them when I go look for the website. It's the funniest stuff. They're hard to find, but I do like them. I got a dozen of them. I've carried them with me on the OB, on the original Bunjie. I have every intention of using them in the future and making them part of these live streams, just like Bunjie itself will be part of these live streams too. So let me cock this bad boy. Genevieve will fire up another comment or so. Look through there.
Do not try to achieve marketed speeds. They are practically dry firing the crossbow. I agree with that.
Yeah, I will. I have one comment on that, and I want to give a heads up here. I'm going to stick my big butt in the camera here and sit down real quick. Get a drink of water, and I'm going to tell you one thing about that. One more thing. all the jokes I've made about Ravin not coming out with the 500 feet per second crossbow, I will tell you this about Ravin. Don't own a Ravin. There is no Ravin that is part of the Death by Bunjie family. There may be someday, who knows. Their arrows, when they say they're shooting 415 feet per second, they're shooting 415 feet per second. It's a fact. And they're doing that typically, at least from the ones I've looked at, with a 400 grain arrow. That's pretty standard for Ravin. You got to use their arrows. So you aren't going to get the performance out of a Ravin unless you use their stuff. There's trade-offs, right? There's good and bad to that. It's good in the sense that if I use their stuff, I know I'm getting 415 feet per second with a 400 grain arrow. The trade-off is now I can't use other stuff. I can't go to those heavier arrows necessarily or whatever else, right? But I give Ravin credit for, when they advertise a speed, it's that speed. When we see the Ravin 500, when that finally hits the shelves, that's supposedly 500 feet per second with a 400 grain arrow. I don't doubt, based on Ravin's track record in the past, that 400 feet per second that 400 grain arrow is going to travel 500 feet per second. It's not going to be 480 or anything like that. So it's the real deal. That's really a good sign from a company. So if I got to say something nice about Ravin, that's what I would say. That's really a big deal. All right, enough of that. We're going to take the old main hunter, right? Doom for whom? In this case, it's doom for the bulldog target. I am betting, but we're still not going to get a pass through on that target with it. This has a cock vein also that happens to be white. I am looking at it. It looks a little eye check there. It looks to be lined up properly. We're going to feed that dude up under there. Snap it into place. Ooh, it snapped in nicely. I like where the safety is on this. You ready? Ready for the safety? You gonna hear it? Ready? Didn't even hear it. I am now pointed at my target. I love the fact that it's a quiet safety. And it's right located nicely where my thumb is, the whole bit. We're gonna aim this dude, try not to hit the camera with it, and we were at 382. With this dude, we are at 356. 356. That is not a bad speed. Get right in on that, right there. Not a bad speed, really, when you look at what we're shooting, okay? Now, we're going to drop a lot if we go up to those spinal taps at 577. But, man, shooting 356 with a 485 grain arrow, that's pretty respectable, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty respectable. I'm pretty proud of that. Pretty happy with that. All right, that completes the weights. We have weighed every arrow, correct? Because we can always reweigh them if we had to.
Full 100 feet per second more than Bunjie with the spinal taps.
Open up a new tab on your browser.
Yep,
All right, Genevieve has just made a good point, I think. And I didn't catch it because I was thinking about the next step of this live stream.
I got it.
All right, Realtree momentum capture. All right, and you didn't close out the other one?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, so you can still check the comments on the live stream. What was the point you made?
The Scorpid with the main hunters and 150 grain broadhead is 356. And then Bunjie with the spinal taps and 150 grains is 256.
Oh, yeah, exactly 100 feet difference.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that kind of is what I'm talking about when I talk about speed, isn't it? So here's what we're going to do. Miss Genevieve is on Realtree.com's Arrow Momentum Calculator. Pretty cool. I am going to really ruin the video here for a few seconds while I adjust the tripod. And you guys are going to be like, well, geez, now I'm jiggling all over the place here. This is a wreck. I know it is. It's terrible. I'm sorry. It is what it is. What are you going to do? We're going to turn this around is what we're going to do. We're going to turn around, get to where we can see the chart. And I'll turn off the chronograph. You know, Genevieve was just about ready to throw this chronograph away yesterday.
And I was swearing and everything.
She was swearing. She was not swearing. It was me. It was 100% me. I'm telling you, that was just miserable. That chronograph was not cooperating. I was very unhappy. I was very unhappy with the whole process. But taken outside, this has worked really, really well today, hasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this dude, if you can do it without breaking anything. Give me a good marker that we haven't used the color before.
How about red?
Red. Okay, we're doing red. Genevieve.
All right.
If I had a ProFlight, okay, that weighed 362 grains, and I was shooting around 307 feet per second with an exclamation point next to it, would I moose?
You would not.
Oh, I would not moose.
You
I'm
would
not
whitetail.
I would whitetail. Well, that's good. That's 90% of what I hunt, right? So we would whitetail. Give me some numbers. What do we got?
All right, your kinetic energy
Yep.
is 75.74 foot-pounds.
75.74?
Yep.
Okay, what's my momentum?
I'm out blue for the momentum.
I'm already started.
Okay. It is 0.493 slugs.
Oh, 0.493. That is an awesome number if you are...
A caveman.
Yeah, okay. We'll just leave that where it is. We'll let that sit there and...
That's like the
do its thing.
Ravin speeds if you were a caveman.
Yeah, I got you. Let's do Bunjie, however. That's with the stock arrow, the 307. Look at those numbers. I can tell you those are kind of embarrassing. That 75, that's enough to open a mechanical broadhead. Man, it's almost not enough. Like, if you look at Grim Reaper's website, they're saying, look, you got at least 60 here, right? I can tell you right now, every one of these is going to be more than that, obviously. But I don't like the fact that I'm kind of on the threshold of opening mechanical broadheads with my crossbow. That shouldn't even be a discussion.
Yeah, that worries me.
It should be like a slam dunk. Spinal taps, if we step up to 577 grains, I think that's still on our screen here. If we do that, can you see that there, that 577? Yes, you can. Very good. But we're down to 256 feet per second. That is pretty slow. Not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of the slow. What do we got? I want to know my KE. Oop. My MO.
It froze. Hold on.
You have to refresh probably. I'm excited.
Oh, there's a deer. The fawn just ran out and then ran back in.
20 yards away, there's a fawn. That's awesome. We had fawns in the backyard over the summer. We've been watching them here. They go down there because there's elderberry.
They sleep in the bottom of the yard.
They sleep down there right in the middle of the morning. We'll come out here in the morning, get coffee around, and they're laying in the bottom of the yard. What do we got for numbers?
You moose this time.
Okay, mooses. Okay. What are my numbers?
Kinetic energy 83.95.
Okay.
And momentum is 0.656.
All right, look at those numbers, boy. That's pretty sweet. Now we're in a more respectable ballpark. You start working on, who else did we do? Let's do Bunjie Jr. next. Get those around, okay? The 345 and the 414 graders. And I'll talk about this a little bit real quick. But if you look at that improvement. If I were going to continue to hunt with Bunjie, really, you are better off here than you are here. There is no question about that. I mean, if you're hunting turkeys, this is fine, right? If that's what you're doing. If you're hunting coos deer, maybe this is better. If you're hunting Sika deer down in Maryland, this is plenty. You don't necessarily need that, but like this on a Sika deer is it's going through every part of that Sika deer. That's not a problem. But really, I'm probably looking at this with a fixed blade broadhead if I was going to keep the original Bunjie. That's just my thoughts. But I'm thinking here at 256. See, the problem is I'm a crossbow hunter. That's not crossbows. 345. Now that's crossbows right there.
And
that's
it
the
mooses.
150 grainer. It mooses. She's telling us already.
Yep.
Bunjie Jr. Kinetic energy at 345 feet per second and a 150 grain broadhead totaling 414 grains. What do we got?
Kinetic energy 109.4.
109.4. Now we are talking crossbow numbers. What's our momentum?
0.634.
0.634. All right, man, that's pretty sweet. Now we're going on to the skirped. Let's do the skirped in order of from light to heavy, okay? Lighter to heavier, I suppose I should say. Those are really relative terms. So I'll fill this out and get what we're doing here. Okay?
Yep.
What do you got? We're going to start with the 403 feet per second. I'm going to adjust this, make sure you guys got it there.
Oh, wow.
Okay, the 403 feet per second, kinetic energy and momentum. Genevieve says, oh, wow, it's 403, but with a 370 grain arrow. What do we got for KE?
133.41.
133.41. That is
And
the sloppiest writing ever. 133.41 in our momentum.
0.662.
So we're over the 0.65 threshold, but not to the 0.7s with the 100 grainers. What are we doing, Miss Genevieve, if we shoot a 425 grain arrow, the 150 grain broadhead, at 382 feet per second? What are we doing here?
All right, now it is 137.68.
Okay, that's a lot of KE. What's our
and
mo?
then 0.721.
0.721. I am personally of the opinion that anytime you're in the 0.7s, you're doing pretty good number-wise. That's really where you want to be, and that's why I chose this broadhead. I was in the ballpark. I wasn't 100% accurate, but I was in the ballpark with those numbers as when I originally chose the 150 grain broadhead for those arrows. Our 356, our main hunters, that would be our last one on this list. That's the 485 grain arrow rig. And am I correct, Miss Genevieve, that everything here mooses except for Bunjie moose,
Moose
right?
is there.
That moose is there, white-tailed deer. Everybody else here mooses.
Yes.
Okay. If you don't understand what moosing is, don't be too worried about that. That's just a term that Genevieve and I use to describe when you get the elusive moose icon on the Realtree Arrow Momentum calculator online. So we really want to be moosing. That's what we want. We want them to be moosing. And Genevieve's thinking, I don't want to shoot a moose.
Sure I do.
Sure I do. That's the answer I want.
When
That's
moose time calls for
when
it.
it's moose season. That's when you
Yeah,
shoot mooses.
yeah.
All right. So we got KE on a 356 feet per second. We've dropped that down, but we're still doing pretty good speed-wise. What are we doing for kinetic energy?
136.46.
136.46. And our momentum?
0.767.
All right. Now, those are pretty respectable numbers. Look at that progression of numbers. I will swing around here and we'll get to where we can just wrap up this little live stream. I really want to thank you guys for joining us, and I hope that you understand that when I'm doing these, I have not gone through and done really, I haven't read the comments as much as I'd like, but that's what I will be doing this evening. I go through and I watch it again on the screen, and I have those comments on the screen so that I can watch them. That way I get to see what you guys said, because man, I missed the comments on these live streams. Rich, what heads are you using at 150 grains? I am using the Rage Tripan is what we're playing on right now, but we're going to do some broadhead testing later on here in Crossbow Appreciation Month. That might change. Still less than Bunjie shooting the taps. Are you seeing this, Rich and Genevieve? Still less than Bunjie shooting the taps. Some of those numbers are less than Bunjie shooting the taps, but almost none of them. Let's talk about that real quick. I think what Lever Action's saying, if you look at our chart, man, that framed up nice. First time in this live stream, or it's actually the whole chart's in. If you look at Bunjie's numbers, that 83.95, nothing on here shot as low as Bunjie with the taps for kinetic energy. That's getting your arrow there. That's affecting your trajectory. That's affecting your ability to open those mechanical broadheads, that sort of thing. Once the arrow's there, we're talking about momentum. What's going to push, propel that arrow through the animal? That's the momentum, 0.656. If we look here, a very good point, Bunjie Jr. actually has lower momentum at 0.634 than Bunjie with the spinal tabs, right?
Yeah.
So if you're hunting a big game with Bunjie Jr., you probably do want to upgrade that arrow to a heavier arrow. We could test Bunjie Jr. with 100 grainers, and I'm telling you, you'll get lower numbers than that. So that's why we're doing the 150 grain. Get you over that 400 feet, that 400 grains threshold, and I think that's pretty healthy. But if you look at the difference between Bunjie and Bunjie 3.0, there's just no way. And this is an important point, I think. I don't care how heavy your arrow is, you cannot reach the numbers that Bunjie gets at 400, that Bunjie 3.0 gets at 403. Bunjie at 307 feet per second, okay, when it starts out, no matter how heavy you make that arrow, no matter how heavy that arrow gets, no matter how much you slow that crossbow down, it does not reach those numbers. You cannot do it. You can moose, but you can't moose at momentum of 0.662. Or you can never reach 0.7s with Bunjie. It doesn't matter the weight of the arrow. I've actually done some math on that too. But I'll do that math. I will revisit that math this week during Speed Week here on Crossbow Appreciation Month, because I now have very firm numbers, accurate numbers, right? Numbers that we have tested and gotten during this live stream. I will take those numbers, calculate those, use those as topics of discussion this week in videos. So I hope you'll check in to the rest of Crossbow Appreciation Month and watch those videos. Watch the Speed Week videos, because Speed Week starts today. You didn't even know that you were in the middle of Speed Week. How great is that? I did, only because that's what we're doing here. So Speed Week starts with this test, these numbers. I'll discuss them in videos throughout the week, and I hope you will check those out. I want to thank you very much for joining Genevieve and I, and Bunjie, and
Bunjie Jr.
and Bunjie 3.0 for this live stream. I hope you got a kick out of it. This is a lot of fun, don't you think?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty good.
Better than the garage.
Oh, this was way better than the garage, and it wasn't sure it was going to work, but it worked. Yeah. We even got to see a fawn. Well, Genevieve did at least. All I saw was the elderberries.
I looked
moving.
down. He was staring at me right there.
Oh, you guys are here. Yeah. All right. Take care, you guys. We will see you soon, and until next time, all hail Bunjie.
And all hail Bunjie Jr.
And all hail Bunjie III. See if I can figure out how to get out of here. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Do I hit OK?
Yes.